Welcome, my name is Keanu Reeves. Life will test you. It will break you. It will challenge everything you believe about yourself. But pain is not your enemy. Quitting is. Stand up when it's hard. Believe when it's dark. Keep moving when it hurts. Your story isn't over. Breathe, fight, rise, repeat.
I saw your photo and somehow I recognized you. It wasn't even a good photo. That's the part I keep coming back to. Like my mind wants proof that I didn't imagine the whole thing. The lighting was wrong, slightly dull, like the kind of light that exists late at night when the world has stopped trying to look impressive. The background didn't say anything about you. No landmarks, no clues, just a wall that had probably seen too many quiet hours, and you weren't trying. No practice smile, no angle that said, "Look at me." No expression that begged for attention. Just you caught mid-existence, and I remember where I saw it. I swear I've tried to trace it back, but every time I do, the memory blurs around the edges. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe some moments don't want their origins questioned. They just want to be felt. I was scrolling, not looking for anything, not avoiding anything either. That strange in-between state where your body is awake, but your mind is somewhere softer. My thumb was moving on autopilot faster than my thoughts. And then it stopped. Not dramatically, not with any warning. It just stopped. Like something inside me said, "Wait," before I had time to argue. I stared at your photo longer than I should have. The first thing I noticed wasn't your face. It was the feeling. A quiet shift in my chest, like a breath being held without permission. Like the rumor around me had leaned in slightly, and the thought that came wasn't logical at all. I know you. Not in the way you know a name or a place or a story someone has told you. It was deeper than that. Older. The kind of knowing that doesn't ask for evidence. I leaned closer to my screen, as if distance mattered, as if pixels could carry weight. Your eyes weren't looking at the camera. They were aimed just a little to the side, like you were distracted by something no one else could see. There was no sadness there, but there wasn't ease either, just awareness, like you had learned how to sit with your thoughts without making noise about it. That's what scared me. People who know how to be quiet like that usually have reasons. I zoomed in without realizing I was doing it. Immediately felt strange about it, like I had crossed some invisible line. I zoomed out again, pretended I hadn't done it. As if that mattered. It's ridiculous, right? Getting affected by a photo. That's what I told myself. That I was projecting, that my brain was bored and looking for meaning where there was none. But my body didn't move on. There was a warmth sitting behind my ribs. Not excitement, not attraction the obvious way. Things steadier, something familiar, like hearing a song you don't remember learning, but somehow know all the words to. I tried to keep scrolling, forced my thumb to move, but everything else felt distant. Faces blurred together, smiles looked staged. Nothing old weight anymore because part of me was still there, stuck on you. And I hated how natural it felt. I didn't like how easily you came back. Not because it felt intrusive, but because it felt deserved, like my mind had already made space for you before I was aware of it. Seeing your face again didn't shock me. It settled me. And that scared me more than surprise ever could. I noticed things I hadn't the first time. How your jaw wasn't tense, but it wasn't loose either. Like you carried restraint naturally, not as effort. How there was a stillness in you that didn't feel empty. You just contained as if you were holding something back, not because you were afraid, but because you didn't trust the world with it easily. I wondered when you learned that moments like that don't come from nothing. They're taught slowly by disappointment, usually by realizing too early that not everything you offer is handled gently. I caught myself leaning forward again, closer to the screen like proximity could translate through glass and light. My reflection faintly overlapped your face, and for a second it felt like we were sharing the same space. I pulled back. That overlap felt too intimate. I thought about saving the photo again. My finger hovered near the option. This time the hesitation wasn't fear. It was respect. Something in me felt like keeping you frozen in my gallery would reduce what this was, like pinning a living thing to a board just to prove you saw it once. So I didn't. Instead, I sat there longer than I meant to, letting the feeling exist without trying to define it, letting the recognition be what it was, without assigning it a future or a purpose. I realized something that I wasn't imagining conversations with you. I wasn't building scenarios or romantic outcomes. My mind wasn't rushing ahead trying to turn you into a story. You were already a feeling, and feelings don't need plots. That night, I didn't dream of you. That surprised me. I half expected my mind to take advantage of sleep and go wild with possibilities, but it didn't. You stayed contained even there, quiet, unintrusive, like you were respecting my boundaries even without knowing they existed. The next morning I woke up with a strange calm, not happiness, not excitement, just a steady awareness like something had been acknowledged. And that acknowledgement was enough for now. I went through my day normally, talked to people, answered messages, laughed when it was expected. No one noticed anything different, which made sense. Nothing on the outside had changed, but internally there was a subtle adjustment, like furniture had been moved slightly, creating a new path through the room. I kept noticing small things and thinking of you in abstract ways. Not you would like this, or you would understand that. Two more like you know this feeling when silence felt heavy but necessary, when words felt too blunt for what I wanted to say, when I chose not to explain myself, because the explaining felt more exhausting than the misunderstanding. It was strange feeling understood by someone who had never heard me speak. I started paying attention to how often that happens. How many people we pass who might recognize us in ways we never know. How many almost connections dissolve simply because no one stops long enough to feel them. I wondered how many times you had recognized someone and kept it to yourself. That thought made me feel closer to you than anything else. Days continued. You didn't appear again for a while. I didn't go looking. I didn't avoid it either. There was a balance there I didn't want to disrupt. Chasing would cheapen it. Forcing distance would lie about how I felt. So I let it be. And in that space I learned something about myself. I realized how rarely I let moments stay undefined. How often I rushed to label, categorize, understand. This time I didn't. And the not knowing felt mature, like I was finally trusting myself to sit with ambiguity, without panicking. You had given me that without doing anything at all. One evening much later I came across something you had written, not about yourself, not directly, just words placed carefully with pauses between them that felt intentional. I recognized that too. The way you didn't overshare, the way you implied more than you explained, the way your sentences left room for the reader instead of cornering them. It felt like reading between heartbeats. I realized then that if I ever spoke to you, I wouldn't rush it. I wouldn't flood you with curiosity or force familiarity. I would meet you where you were, because that's how you seem to move, through the world, gently, deliberately, without needing to announce it. That realization stayed with me, not as longing, not as hope, as alignment, and that felt like enough. It surprised me how naturally you began to exist in the background of things, not loudly, not insistently, just there, like a familiar hum. You don't notice until it stops. I didn't think about you every moment, and that's what made it real. You showed up in the pauses, in the in-between seconds where my mind usually drifts without direction. Sometimes it was when I was walking alone, headphones in but nothing playing. Sometimes it was late at night when the world felt thinned out and honest. I'd feel that same quiet pressure in my chest, and I wouldn't need to ask why anymore. I'd stop questioning it. There's a strange relief in that, in letting something exist without interrogation. Most of our lives are spent demanding explanations. We poke at feelings until they either make sense or fall apart. This one didn't ask for that. It asked for patience. I noticed how careful I became with my own thoughts. After that, I stopped dismissing certain feelings as silly or dramatic. I stopped forcing myself to move on from moments that wanted to linger. It was as if recognizing you had given me permission to recognize myself more honestly, too. I wondered if that was selfish, if I was using the idea of you as a mirror instead of allowing you to simply be a person somewhere else with your own full lift, your own weight of days. The thought made me uneasy, so I sat with it instead of pushing it away. I reminded myself that you didn't owe me anything, not recognition, not meaning, not even reality beyond what I already knew. And yet there were nights when I imagined you sitting quietly somewhere, phone face down, staring at nothing in particular. Not sad, not restless, just thinking. I imagined the way silence must feel around you. Not empty, but dense, like it holds things. That image never felt invasive. It felt respectful, like watching a candle burn without touching a flame. One evening I almost broke the balance. I hovered over a message box longer than I care to admit. No words typed, just the cursor blinking, patient and indifferent. I wasn't nervous. That wasn't it. I just didn't want to enter. Your space was something that didn't belong there. What do you even say to someone you recognize without knowing? Hello feels too casual. I saw your photo feels intrusive. You feel familiar. Sounds like a lie even when it isn't. So, I closed it. Not because I lacked courage, but because I trusted the moment enough not to rush it. That decision surprised me. Old versions of me would have reached out just to quiet the curiosity, just to relieve the tension of not knowing. This time, I let the tension breathe, and something interesting happened. Instead of growing heavier, it softened. I realized then that some connections don't want to be acted on immediately. They want to be understood first, not intellectually, internally. They want to settle into the shape they're meant to take. I started paying attention to patterns. How often I felt closest to people when nothing was being said. How familiarity didn't always come from shared history, but from shared tempo. How some people move to the world at the same speed as you, even if their paths never cross. You felt like that. Same pace, same pauses. I don't know if you believe in timing. I'm still undecided myself, but I do believe in readiness. And whatever this was, it wasn't ready for names or gestures yet. It was ready to exist quietly. There was a day when everything felt off. Not dramatically, just subtly wrong. Conversations felt misaligned. Sounds felt sharper. I couldn't settle into myself no matter what I did. I remember stepping outside just to breathe. Phone still in my hand. I don't know why I opened it. I don't know why I checked. But there you were again. Not looking at the camera. Never directly, like you were aware of being seen but uninterested in performing for it. The familiarity hit me differently this time. Less surprise, more recognition. Like greeting someone you've already been thinking about. I noticed how calm I felt. My heart didn't race. My thoughts didn't scatter. It was grounding. Seeing you like something had quietly aligned itself again. That's when it hit me. You weren't a disruption. You were a stabilizer. That realization shifted everything. I wasn't waiting for yo. I wasn't longing. I wasn't building fantasies. I was accompanied in a way that didn't require proximity or permission. And that felt deeply human. I wondered if you had someone like that too. Someone who existed as a quiet constant in your internal world. Someone you didn't talk about because there was nothing to explain. The idea didn't make me jealous. It made me understand, because if you were anything like how you felt to me, you'd value that kind of connection. The kind that doesn't demand space, but holds it. As days passed, the feeling integrated itself into my life rather than interrupting it. I didn't look for signs anymore. I didn't analyze every appearance. I trusted that if something needed my attention, it would ask for it. And if it didn't,